Yeah. Hi guys. Good morning. So in the last session, we discussed about what is dependency injection, what is constructor injection, what is setter injection. We developed two applications, but in those two applications, as a programmer, we are performing the dependency injection. But if you go for the Spring framework, we no need to perform the dependency injection. Dependency injection will be taken care by IOC container. Could you please tell me what is IOC container? Come on. What is IOC container? IOC is a principle which is responsible to manage and collaborate dependencies among the objects in the application. Can you come front side, guys? Can you come front? IOC is a principle which is responsible to manage and collaborate dependencies among the objects. Right. So now, what is IOC container? Could you please tell me what is IOC container? IOC is responsible to manage and collaborate dependencies among the objects in the application. So when we want to access one class method from the another class method, we need to create the object and we need to inject the object. Now, if you see here, I am injecting the dependent object into target object through constructor. So this is called constructor injection. If you inject dependent object into target object through setter method, then it is called as a setter injection. Fine. But in this application, we are not using Spring framework. That's why programmer is performing the dependency injection. So if we have 4 classes or 5 classes, that's okay. We can perform the dependency injection. But tomorrow, when we go for the project development, 100 classes for only controllers, 50 classes only for services, 300 classes only for the DAOs. Creating these many objects and managing dependence in these objects is very difficult. So instead of we are taking care of the dependency injection, we are going for IOC container. What is the main responsibility of the IOC container? It will take care of dependency injection. That means it will create target object, it will create dependent object, and it will inject that dependent object into target object. From now onwards, we no need to create the object for the classes. We no need to inject one object into another object. IOC will create dependent object and target object. It will create dependent object and target object, and then it will inject dependent object into target object. Right? That is called dependency injection. Now, how IOC will understand which is a dependent object and which is a target object? That's where for the IOC container, we are going to provide some configuration as the input. Online students, is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, looks like your voice is echoing,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Getting resound.
Yeah, sure. Good. Now, so here we are going for IOC container. For the IOC container, we need to give input, which is Java classes should be managed by IOC container. So here assume that there are 10 Java classes are available. Out of these 10 Java classes, which classes are target classes, which classes are dependent classes, which class object should be injected into which class object. whether it should perform constructor injection or it should perform setter injection. We need to provide that information as a configuration. That configuration we can write in two ways. One is XML based configuration. Second one is annotation based configuration. So XML configuration is outdated approach and currently people are using annotation based configuration. Right, now we are going to develop a project by using IOC container. IOC container will create object for the target class, will create the object for the dependent class, and it is going to perform dependency injection. What is the Spring Bean, guys? What is the meaning of Spring Bean? The Java classes which are managed by IOC container are called as Spring Bean classes. Fine. So far, we discussed these concepts in our classes. I think 7 classes already completed. Those 7 class videos, whoever missed those 7 classes, I provided those videos in our YouTube channel. So if you go to Ashok IT channel, here there is a playlist option. If you go to this playlist, you can see that 36 SBMS videos available. So from day 1 till yesterday, all the 7 videos I have uploaded. If anyone who missed any class, you can go through these videos. What we covered in the last 7 days. In the last 7 days, we discussed about application architecture. We are going to develop application by using layered architecture. Multiple layers will be available with the loosely coupling. Then we discussed about programming language, what is the technology and what is the framework. Could you please tell me what is the framework? Framework is a semi-developed software. Why we need to go for frameworks, guys? Why we need to go for frameworks? Frameworks will provide some common logics. Frameworks are going to provide some common logic so that you can focus only on the business logic. Application development will be faster when you go for framework concept. Earlier, people used to work with the Struts framework and the Hibernate framework to develop the projects. When I start my career as a Java developer, I developed my first project by using Struts and Hibernate only. So where we can use the Struts framework in the layered architecture? Struts is used to develop controllers. Struts framework we can use to develop controllers in the application. What is a controller? It is responsible to take the request and give the response to the UI. Okay. Can I develop entire project by using struts? Not possible. Then we will go for a Hibernate framework. Where we can use the Hibernate framework? DAO layer. By using Hibernate, we can develop only persistence layer. Now, if I want to develop a project, I need to go for struts as well as Hibernate. But I am looking for a single framework to develop everything in the project. That's where Spring framework came into picture. The first version of the Spring released in the 2004. What is the current version of the Spring? In 2022, they released 6.x version of the Spring. So the current version of the Spring is 6.x. It released in the 2022. Then coming to Spring architecture, Spring is not a single framework. Spring is a collection of frameworks, and Spring is open source. By using Spring, we can develop standalone application, we can develop web application, we can develop distributed application also. What is the difference between Struts and Spring, guys? What is the difference between Struts and Spring? Struts is only web framework, Spring is application development framework. What is the meaning of application development framework? We can develop everything which is required for the application. Web layer, business layer, presentation layer, DAO layer, everything can be developed by using Spring framework. That's why Spring is called as application development framework. Coming to Spring modules, there are 20 plus modules available in the Spring framework. Could you please tell me names of those modules? Spring Core module, Spring Context module, Spring AOP, Spring JDBC, Spring ORM, Spring Data JPA, Spring Web MVC, Spring REST, Spring Security, Spring Cloud, Spring Batch. Like that, there are several modules available in the Spring framework. Fine. Then we started developing a normal Java application. One Java class wants to communicate with the another Java class. If one Java class should communicate with the another Java class, then what we need to do? Either we need to extend the properties or we need to create the object. If you extend the properties or if you create the object, classes will be tightly coupled. So it will become difficult to manage those classes. It will become difficult to maintain those classes. That's why we need to develop the classes with the loosely coupling. Without creating the object, without extending the properties, we should be able to communicate from one class to another class. So for that, what we are using? Strategy design pattern. So strategy design pattern has given some principles. If you develop your classes by following those principles, then your classes will be loosely coupled. Could you please tell me what are those principles? Could you please tell me what are those principles? So when you want to communicate from one class to another class, favor composition over inheritance. Inheritance is not recommended. Always go for composition when there is a dependency between two classes. Then what is the second principle? Codes to the interfaces. Always use the interfaces as a mediator between two classes. One class should not talk to another class directly in the real time. If you want to communicate from one class to another class, always go for interface. If you go for the interface, then you can achieve loosely coupling. Then fine. What is the third principle? What is the third principle? Code should be open for the extension and it should be closed for the modification. We developed two applications by using strategy design pattern, plain Java code. There is no framework, nothing. I created two classes by using interface as a mediator. Car and engine application, payment application we have developed, and we are able to see what is the target and what is dependent. Then fine. When one class is dependent on the another class, we need to go for dependency injection. Could you please tell me what is the dependency injection? Injecting one class object into another class object is called as dependency injection. Dependency injection we can perform in three ways, guys. Could you please tell me what are three ways to perform dependency injection? One is constructor injection, another one is setter injection, third one is field injection. What is the meaning of constructor injection? What is the meaning of constructor injection? Injecting dependent object into target object using target class constructor. Car is dependent on the engine. In the car class, we are writing a constructor. Injecting dependent object into target object using target class constructor is called constructor injection. When the constructor injection will happen? At the time of object creation. What is the setter injection? Injecting dependent object into target object by calling target class setter method. That is called setter injection. What is the field injection? Directly injecting the object into variable. If it is a public variable, then we can do that. Got it? So there are three ways that we can perform dependency injection. As of now, in the last 3-4 classes in our application development, who is performing the dependency injection? Programmer is performing the dependency injection. So if you have 3-4 classes, that's okay. We can do that. But if I have 1,000 classes in the project, some projects may have 1,000 classes, 10,000 classes also can be there in the project. If you have 10,000 classes, is it easy to perform the dependency injection? It will become very, very difficult and complex also. That's why we are not going to perform the dependency injection. Who will take care of dependency injection? Dependency injection will be taken care by IOC container. Where is this IOC container? IOC container is available in the Spring framework. Could you please tell me what is IOC? What IOC can do? IOC is responsible to manage and collaborate dependencies among the objects. What is the meaning of managing and what is the meaning of collaborating? It will create the object for all the target classes, all the dependent classes, and it will inject the dependent object into target object. So that means IOC is responsible to perform dependency injection. What is the full form of IOC? Inversion of control. What is the meaning of inversion of control? Whatever the work that programmer is responsible, that work will be taken care by IOC container. Instead of we are doing the work, we are assigning the work to the IOC container. It will perform the dependency injection. Then we can use those objects to call the methods. What is the Spring Bean here? What is the Spring Bean here? Spring Bean nothing but the Java classes which are managed by IOC container are called as Spring Bean classes. Let us see IOC architecture. Let's go for IOC architecture. So if you see, IOC is a principle available in the Spring. Core module is providing the IOC container. For that IOC container, we will provide our Java classes as the input and we will provide some configuration as the input. In this configuration, we will tell what is the target, what is the dependent, what type of dependency injection should be performed. Then, based on the classes, based on the configuration, IOC will manage and IOC will collaborate the object. Then it will provide the Spring Beans which are ready to use. What is the meaning of a Spring Bean? The Java class which is managed by IOC container is called as a Spring Bean. Now, we need to develop our first application by using Spring Framework. Now I want to develop a project. In that project, I want to use Spring Framework and I want to use IOC container and I want to perform dependency injection by using IOC container. Now see, so this is a Java project. I'm going to create one standalone Java application. So in this Java application, I want to develop by using Spring Framework. So now this is our Spring Framework. Assume that this is our Spring Framework which is developed by some other company. Spring Framework developed by some other company. So this is third-party framework. This Spring is not developed by Sun Microsystem. Spring is not developed by Oracle. Okay, Spring Framework is under license of VMware company. What is the name of the company, guys? VMware. Spring Framework is under license of VMware. Now, I'm a programmer. I want to develop my Java application. I'm a programmer. I want to develop my Java application. Inside this Java application, I want to use this Spring Framework. Inside this Java application, I want to use the Spring Framework. So Spring Framework is a third-party framework. It is developed by some other company. Now, if you want to use this Spring Framework in our Java application, then what we need to do? You need to download the Spring jar files and you need to add the Spring jars to our project build path. We need to download Spring Framework and we need to add that Spring Framework jars into our Java application build path. So what is the meaning of framework? Semi-developed software which will contain some common logics. So Spring Framework contain some Java classes already. In those Java classes, some common logics are already available. So we need to use Spring provided classes in our project. We need to use Spring provided classes in our project. So that is called using a framework. Spring Framework contains some Java classes. We need to download the Spring Framework Java classes and we need to use in our project. This Spring Framework delivered to the market in the form of jars. Okay, for every module, there is a jar file. Do you want to use Spring Core module? Then Spring Core jar file is available. So if you want to use, is it mandatory to use all the modules of the Spring, guys? Is it mandatory to use all the modules of the Spring? No, it is not mandatory to use all the modules of the Spring. In the Spring, there are several modules available. Spring Core.jar. What is the Spring Core.jar? All the classes belongs to core module available in the core jar file. Similarly, Spring context jar is available. If you want the configurations to manage, context jar file is required. Similarly, Spring AOP.jar is available. AOP.jar is available. Similarly, Spring JDBC.jar is available. Similarly, Spring ORM.jar is available. Similarly, Spring WebMVC.jar is available. So here, the Spring Framework delivered to the market in the form of jar file. If you want to use Spring framework in your project, then you need to download these jar files from the Spring website, and we need to add those jar files to our project build path. Some company developed a framework. We need to use that framework to develop our application. Now, in the JDBC, we used Hikari CP jar file. Who developed Hikari CP? Third party. How we are using Hikari CP in our project? Downloaded that jar file, added that jar file to our build path. Servlet API jar. Who developed servlet implementation? Tomcat. How we are using the Tomcat implementation? Downloaded the jar, added to the project. JSTL developed by Sun Microsystem. How we are using that? Adding as a jar file. Database driver, Oracle driver, MySQL driver. Who developed it? Third party. How we are using third party projects in our project? By adding the jars to the build path. So similarly, Spring framework also developed by third party company. That third party company framework is released into market in the form of jar files. If you want to use that framework in our project, then we need to download the jar files. We need to add the jar files to build path. Are you clear? So what will be there in the jar file? Classes will be available. Some classes already developed in the Spring framework to provide common logic. For common logic, you use those classes. For business logic, you develop your own classes. Are you getting my point? Now here, to use the Spring framework, we need to use the Spring jar files. Do I need to download all these jar files? Do I need to download all these jar files? Not required. Why? Every jar belongs to one module. Spring is developed in the modular fashion. All these modules are loosely coupled. All these modules are loosely coupled. You don't need to download all the jars. If you want to develop only web application, then WebMVC jar is sufficient. If you want to develop only persistence layer, JDBC jar is sufficient. If you want to develop standalone application, only core jar file, context jar file is sufficient. Are you getting my point? Fine. These jar files we can download in two ways, guys. One is manually you can download the jar file and add to the build path. That is what we have done in the advanced Java. But in the industry, people will not download the jar files manually. Why should I go to that website, download the jar file, add the jar file to the build path? That's not required. We are going to use a tool called Maven. There is a tool called Maven. Maven is called as a build tool. Maven is called as a build tool. My project will use Maven build tool. Then I will tell to Maven, hey Maven, I want a Spring framework. I will not download the jar files manually from now onwards. Whatever the jars we need for the project, we will tell to Maven. Then this Maven will go to the Spring framework, will download the jar files, will give the jar files to our project. Okay, instead of programmer is downloading the jar files, we are going to use Maven build tool to download the jar files. Are you guys able to understand? So what is Maven? Maven is a build tool which will download required jar files for our project. So for that, we need to create a Maven project. As of now, we are creating normal Java project. From now onwards, we are going to create a Maven project. By using Maven, we can download the jar files easily. You no need to go to the website to download the jar files. Directly, you can download the jar files by using Maven. Are you clear? So today, I'm not giving the complete clarity on the Maven. We will conduct one workshop on the Maven tool. What is Maven? How to work with Maven? Complete story of the Maven. It will take 4 to 5 hours to understand what is Maven. Okay, so now I'm not digging into the details of the Maven. Just I will create a Maven project and I will show you how to add the dependencies. In the upcoming days, we are going to see what is Maven, how to work with Maven like a experienced person. In the industry, how developers will use Maven, we will discuss in the workshop. Are you clear? Now, yesterday I have given you a video to set up the Maven. Are you able to do that? Now, let me check it. In my system, Maven is available or not. Good. So first of all, let me check Java version. Yes, Java version is available. Java 17 version is available in my system. Similarly, let me check Maven version. So can you see Maven is available or Maven is not available? In my system currently, Maven configuration is not available. Now I need to set up Maven in my system. Okay, so first let me go to environment variables, edit, system environment variables. In this environment variables, you check Java home. Java home is already available and Java path is also already available. Java 17 version I am using, Java path is available and Java home is also available. Now let's go to Apache website to download Maven. Maven download. Okay, who developed this Maven software, guys? Apache. Apache software, Apache company developed this Maven. Good. Tomcat also given by Apache. Maven also given by Apache. Go to download Apache Maven. So once you go here, you can see the latest version of the Maven. What is the latest version? 3.9.5. Now let us download Maven binary zip archive. So let's simply click on Apache Maven zip file. So now I downloaded this Apache Maven zip file. Good. Now go to downloads. So here you can see Maven is downloaded. Extract this zip file. Extract to Apache Maven. Okay. So here my Apache Maven is available. Take this folder from here. I'm keeping this in the C drive. Okay. Apache Maven 3.9.5 is available in the C drive. Let us copy the path of the Maven. Okay. Let me take the home directory of the Maven. So inside the C, Maven available. Let us take the home directory. Don't go inside the bin, guys. I'm going to only home directory of the Maven. So let us take that environment variables new. We are going to specify Maven underscore home. We are going to specify Maven underscore home. Then similarly, go to the path, edit that, add the new path. Path we will add up to bin directory. Home we will add before bin directory. So with this, I'm able to add Maven home up to Maven root directory. Then I'm able to add Maven path. Okay, with this my Maven setup is completed. How to verify Maven is working or not? To verify the Maven is working or not, go to command prompt. Now let us verify. MVN space -version. MVN space -version. Now can you see Maven is working now? Yes. Maven 3.9.5 is available in my system. Okay, good. So now once the Maven setup got completed, you can create the Maven project from the command prompt as well as from the IDE also. There are two ways to create the Maven project. Maven project you can create from the command line as well as you can create from the IDE also. Now, let me go to C drive, C users, username. So if you see here in the C drive, whenever you create a Maven project or whenever you set up the Maven, can you see one folder called .m2? Can you see one folder called .m2? Yes, this is a Maven folder. So inside your system, C drive, users, under your user folder, .m2 will be available. Inside the .m2, there will be a folder called repository. Inside the repository, there are some jars available. Let me delete everything. I'm deleting everything. Now, so inside my C drive, users, username, .m2, repository. Do I have anything in the repository? Do I have any content in the repository? Currently, we don't have any content in the repository. Are you clear? Now, good. Let's go to our IDE. Let me create our Maven project. Let me create Maven project. Why I am creating a Maven project? Why not Java project? Why I am creating a Maven project? Why not Java project? If you create the Java project, then you need to download the jar files and you need to add the jars to the build path. If I go for Maven project, I no need to download the jars. Jars will be downloaded by the Maven. Maven will add the jars to the build path. So that's why let us create one Maven project here. Now, good. File, new. There are two options available. Do you want to go for Java project? Do you want to go for Maven project? If you go for Java project, you need to manage the dependencies. That means frameworks you need to download. You need to add to the build path. I don't want to do that. I want to take the help of the Maven to download the jar files. So let me create a Maven project. Okay. There is an option, create a simple project. Create a simple project. If you check this checkbox, it is going to create a standalone Java project by using Maven. What is the meaning of simple project in the Maven? A standalone Java project. If you don't select this, if you go for next, it will ask you to select some type of the project. Do you want to go for Maven project with a standalone, or do you want to go for web application? What type of project you want to create? You need to select that. But now I want to create only simple Java project by using Maven. So see the option here. Go to your IDE, file, new Maven project. I want to create a standalone Java project by using Maven. Select this option, click on next. It is asking group ID. So you can give anything. Group ID means which company developing this project. Group ID means which company developing this project. In that Ashok IT. Artifact ID, what is your application name? Artifact ID represents project name. I'm giving 03 Spring IOC application. Spring IOC application I'm developing. How you want to package this application? Standalone application will be packaged as a jar file. Group ID, in that Ashok IT. Group ID represents which company developing this project. Artifact ID represents name of the project. Package, how do you want to deliver this project to the client? It is a standalone project. We will deliver this project to the client in the form of jar file. Click on finish. Good. So now you can see our Maven project is getting created. When the Maven project is creating, it is downloading some configuration related to the Maven. So when you are creating Maven project for first time, internet connection mandatory, because it has to download Maven dependencies from the internet. Now see this Maven project is created. Now you see my Maven project is created. So in the Maven project, there is a folder structure, SRC main Java, SRC main resources, SRC test Java, SRC test resources available, target is available, form.xml is available. Could you please observe this folder structure? Whenever you create a Maven project, it created some folder structure, main Java, main resources, test Java, test resources, target folder, and form.xml. Look at that architecture, guys. Look at the structure. That is called Maven project structure. That is called Maven project structure. Main Java, main resources, test Java, test resources, target is available, form.xml is available. Now, sir, what is the purpose of these many folders in the project? Here, main Java represents main source code of the application. What are the Java classes you are going to create? What are the Java classes you are going to create? You should keep them in the main Java folder. What are the Java classes you will develop in the project? Your controllers, your service classes, your DAO classes, your DTO classes, everything we are going to keep in the main Java folder. Then what is main resources folder? If you want any configuration files, if you want to use any db.properties file, any configuration files you want to use in the project, XML configuration, YML configuration, properties configuration, those files. Excuse me. So main Java code we will develop in the main Java folder. Any configuration files we need for the project, we will keep in the main resources folder. Test Java. any unit testing code we are going to develop by using JUnit. The JUnit code we are going to develop in the test Java folder, and test resources for unit testing. If any configuration is required, that we are going to keep in the test resources. Could you please tell me what is the purpose of main Java? To develop main Java classes in the project. Application source code. The application source code will be available in the main Java folder. What is the main resources? Configuration files. Any configuration files in the project. Database properties will keep in separate file. Okay. Logging properties will keep in the separate file. SMTP properties will keep in the separate file. Any configuration file. It can be a text file. It can be properties file. It can be YML. It can be XML. Any properties file you want to use in the project, you need to keep in the resources folder. What is the test Java? Come on. What is the test Java? JUnit code. For our project, we are going to develop unit test classes. Those unit test classes we need to keep in the test Java folder. What is the test resources? What is the test resources? Unit testing configuration files we will keep in the test resources. And next one, whenever you compile the project, that class files will be created in the target folder. Whenever you compile your Java program, that class file will be created. That class file we are going to keep in the target folder. And main important file here, pom.xml. Could you please read that file? Pom.xml. POM stands for Project Object Model. POM stands for Project Object Model. What is this pom.xml? What is the purpose of the pom.xml? Pom.xml is a Maven configuration file. What is pom.xml, guys? Pom.xml is a Maven configuration file. Now, for my project, Hibernate is required. For my project, Spring is required. In the Spring, which module is required? Everything we are going to specify in the pom.xml. Everything we are going to specify in the pom.xml. Whatever the dependencies that are required, the dependencies we are going to specify in the pom.xml. When you specify the dependencies in the pom.xml, Maven will download those dependencies. Currently, any dependencies are available? Currently, there are no dependencies are available. Now I want to download Spring dependency. Now I want to download Spring framework. Are you getting my point? Okay. So let's go here. There is a root tag called project tag is available. Inside the project, what dependencies are required? Let us specify dependencies. Let us specify dependencies here. Now, what dependencies are required? We need to specify those dependencies here. Now, from where we can find out the dependency? mvnrepository.com. There is a website called mvnrepository.com. Now, I want to go for Spring context dependency. Let us type Spring context. So now go to mvnrepository.com, then type for Spring context search. Now we get the Spring context. Click on the Spring context. So here you can download the jar file manually. You can download jar file manually, or you can tell to Maven to download the jar file. Go to the Spring version 6.0.13, latest version of the Spring, right? Here there is an option called jar. What is the meaning of jar option? If I click on this jar, what will happen? Jar file will be downloaded. Do I need to download? Who will download? Who will download? Maven. How Maven will download? Here there is a Maven dependency. There is a Maven dependency. Now take this dependency, copy this. Now add in the pom.xml. Okay, good. Now I have added Spring context dependency in the pom.xml. Okay, now let us see here. One folder got created. Earlier, do we have this folder? No. Inside this folder, what is available now? Come on. I added one dependency called Spring context dependency. I added one dependency called Spring Context Dependency. What it has done now? What it has done now? It is downloading all the jar files which are required to develop our standalone application by using Spring Framework. Whatever the jar files that are required for the project, you no need to download manually. We added a dependency in the pom.xml. Then Maven downloaded all these jar files. How many jars downloaded? AOP, beans, context, core, expression, JCL. So there are 6 jar files Maven downloaded and Maven added those jar files to our project build path. Okay, from now onwards, if I want a driver, do I need to download manually? I want MySQL driver. Do I need to download? Not required. Who will download? Maven. How Maven will know that which jar it has to download? We need to specify a dependency in the pom.xml. If you specify dependency in the pom.xml, then Maven will download that jar file from the internet and it will add it to our project build path. Now let us see here. In our project, Maven dependency is added. In our project, Maven dependency is added. So now see, inside the project directory, Maven dependency is available. Let me remove this dependency. If I remove the dependency, what happened? If I remove the dependency, what happened now? Jar files available or jar files removed? Jar file removed. Now let me add the dependency. Then what happened now? See, if I add the dependency, then only jars will be available in the build path. If this dependency available in the pom.xml, if this dependency available in the pom.xml, jar files will be available in the build path. If I remove the dependency from the pom.xml, then what happened? The jar files are removed from the build path. Okay, today this is a standalone application. Tomorrow I want to develop Spring JDBC logic. I want to develop persistence layer by using Spring JDBC. For that, what I need to do, guys? Just to go here and search for Spring JDBC. Go to Spring JDBC, take the dependency, click on the version number. Which version of the Spring is required? Click on the version number, dependency available, copy that, go to pom.xml. Along with the context, I'm adding Spring JDBC dependency also. So context dependency I have added, JDBC dependency also I have added. Now check the Maven dependencies. Can you see here? What is there? JDBC jar is downloaded or not? What is this? Transaction. When you are going for database communication, transactions are required. So for that it is downloading transaction jar file also. So from now onwards, whatever the jars you want to download, you can take the help of the Maven. Maven will download the jar files from the internet and it will keep the jars in the M2 directory. We have the M2 directory, right? So M2 repository. Earlier, do we have anything in the M2? Before creating the Maven project, I deleted everything from the M2. Now go to org, Spring Framework, Spring Core 6.0.3. Can you see what is that? Jar file. So who downloaded this jar file? Maven. So Maven downloaded this jar file. Maven added that jar file to our project build path. Maven downloaded that jar. Maven added that jar file to the build path. Where Maven will store those jar files? Inside the .m2 folder. In our system, .m2 folder will be created. Repository, Spring Commons, JavaX, org, Spring Framework. Then Spring Core jar file is created. Then Spring Context jar file is also downloaded. Are you clear? So tell me, what is Maven? Why we are going for Maven? What is Maven? Why we are going for Maven? Maven is a build tool for the Java application. What is Maven, guys? Maven is a build tool for Java application. The first project with the Spring we are developing by using Maven. What is Maven? Maven is a build tool for Java applications. Maven developed by Apache organization. Maven developed by Apache organization. Maven software developed by using Java language. Maven software is also developed by using Java, and by using this Maven, now we can develop Java projects, right? Maven is free and open source. Maven is free and open source software, OSS, open source software. OSS nothing but open source software. You no need to pay the license for the Maven. You can directly download the Maven and you can set up the Maven. Maven is a build tool for Java applications. Maven developed by Apache organization. Maven software developed using Java language. Maven is free and open source. Using Maven, we can develop, we can create both standalone and web applications also. The structure for the standalone application, the structure for the web application also can be created by using Maven. Now, Maven setup. We need to do the Maven setup in our system. To do the Maven setup, I have given you a video, right? So let me take that video, give the link here. If anybody has not done that, please go through that video. IT. So in the Windows, how to do the Maven setup, I have given. Take this link and give it here. So if you are not able to set up the Maven in your system, please go through this video, then you can understand how to set up Maven in your system. Can you please tell me, what is Maven? Maven is a build tool for Java application. Who developed this Maven? Apache organization. Okay. Maven software developed by using Java language. Maven is a free and open source software. Using Maven, we can create both standalone applications and web application. To work with the Maven, we need to set up the Maven in our system. Remember, note. Alternate for Maven is Gradle. What is alternate for the Maven in the industry? Earlier, some projects, 50% of the projects are using Maven as a build tool. The remaining 50% of the projects are using Gradle as a build tool. So you can go for Maven as a build tool, or you can go for Gradle as a build tool. Why we are talking about, sir, we came for the Spring now. Why are you not developing the project by using Spring? Why are you discussing this Maven? The reason is, after 1 week or 10 days, we will go and create a project by using SpringBoot. If you want to create the project by using SpringBoot, there is a website called start.spring.io. When you go for start.spring.io, if you want to create a SpringBoot project, it's mandatory that you need to use a Maven or Gradle as a build tool. Without using Maven or Gradle, you cannot create the SpringBoot project. Are you guys getting my point? You should have knowledge on the Maven as well as the Gradle in order to develop a project by using SpringBoot. Without Maven and Gradle, you cannot create the SpringBoot project. Are you guys getting my point? Good. So that is the reason we are discussing Maven today. Maven is a build tool for Java application. If I don't want to go with the Maven, what is the alternate for the Maven, guys? What is the alternate for the Maven? Gradle is the alternate for the Maven. So now, by using Maven, you can develop Java application. Maven developed by Apache. Maven developed using Java. Maven is free and open source. Using Maven, we can create both the standalone applications and web applications, right? So to do the Maven setup, I am giving here. Anybody who is interested to work with Gradle also, I think so. Very recently, I have uploaded one video on the Gradle in our channel. So you go to Ashok IT, YouTube. Yes. Go to latest videos, guys. In the latest videos, if you observe. So 1 month ago, I have uploaded one video. See this row, Gradle build tool, learn the Gradle in the 30 minutes. So what is Gradle? How to set up the Gradle in our system? How to create a project by using Gradle? I have discussed in this video. Okay, I'm giving this video link also in the notes. If anybody interested to explore Gradle, you can go through this Gradle tutorial. Guys, in our channel, lot of useful videos are available. Okay, good. So Maven setup video is there and Gradle tutorial is available. I will prepare one crash course on the Maven also and I will upload that video. So by next week, I will prepare one video on the Maven, how I explain Gradle in the short video. So if you go through this video, you will understand how to set up Gradle, how to create a project by using Gradle. What is the Gradle? Can you see here? What is the Gradle project folder structure? This is the Gradle project folder structure. What is available? SRC main Java. In the Maven also same thing is available. SRC test Java. SRC test Java is available. Okay. What is this SRC main Java? Where we will create the source code of the application. What is SRC test Java? Where we will keep our unit test code. Okay. In the Maven, pom.xml is available. What is pom.xml in the Maven? What is pom.xml in the Maven? Where we will configure dependencies. If you go for Gradle, build.gradle. So in the Maven, pom.xml will be available. In the Gradle, build.gradle file is available. Remaining things are same. In the Maven pom.xml, we can configure the dependencies. In the build.gradle also, we will configure the dependencies. So now, for the Maven dependencies, we are going for MVN repository now. Then how to get the Gradle dependency? Same here only. This is Maven dependency for the Spring JDBC. Can you see here? What is this? Gradle. If you click on the Gradle, this is a Gradle dependency. If you are using Maven, Maven dependency you need to add in the pom.xml. If you are using Gradle, you need to take the Gradle dependency, you need to add in the build.gradle file. So we can develop our Java projects by using Maven. We can develop projects by using Gradle also. In the industry, some projects are using Maven, some projects are using Gradle. Are you clear? Good. So in the real-time project, we are going to discuss 20 plus tools, right? At that time, I am going to discuss Maven, Gradle, difference between Maven and Gradle. What is Gradle? What is Maven? When to go for Maven? When to go for Gradle? Which one is recommended to develop the project? We will discuss in the project batch. Got it? So currently, we are going with Gradle tool or Maven tool. Which one? Currently, we are using Maven as a build tool. The question, which one is better, Maven or Gradle? That we will discuss in the coming classes. Today, discussion is not related to Gradle or Maven. Just how to create a Spring project by using Maven. Are you clear with my point? Good. So now, we are trying to understand Maven project creation. Okay. Now, so creating Maven project. Creating Maven project. Okay. So how many ways we can create Maven project? Through command prompt, we can create Maven project using CLI and IDE. Okay. From the command prompt also, you can create a Maven project. You can create the Maven project by using IDE also. I think in the video I have shown how to create from the command prompt. After Maven setup got completed, I created one project in the command prompt. But we are going to create Maven project by using IDE. So once we create the Maven project, here we are going to give Maven simple project, select file, new, then we will go for Maven project. So select simple project. What is the meaning of simple project? It is a standalone application. Standalone application. Then group ID. What is the meaning of group ID? Any company, which company developing that, you can give that group ID. Next one, artifact ID. What is the meaning of artifact ID? It represents project name. It represents project name. I'm creating my first application by using Spring IOC. Okay. And next one, packaging. What is the meaning of packaging? Standalone application. So I'm giving the packaging as a jar file. Then create the project. Okay. Create. Click on finish. So with this, we are going to create our Maven project. We can create Maven project using CLI as well as by using IDE. So go to IDE, new Maven project, select simple project, give the group ID, give the artifact ID, packaging as a jar, then click on finish. So once the project is created, we can see below folder structure. So can you please tell me what are the folders got created, guys? One is SRC main Java, then next one SRC main resources, then SRC test Java, then SRC test resources, then target, then sometime Maven dependencies will come, and pom.xml. This is our project folder structure. So if you create a standalone project or if you create a web application, this is the common structure. Every Maven project will have the same structure. SRC main Java, main resources, test Java, test resources, target, Maven dependencies, pom.xml. Can you please tell me what is pom.xml? Can you please tell me what is pom.xml? Pom.xml is a Maven configuration file. We will configure dependencies in the pom.xml. What is target? Once our project got compiled, whatever the .class files are created, those .class files will be created inside the target directory. Okay. What is main Java? What is main Java? Source code goes here. Source code we will keep. Here. Now, what we will do in the main resources? Config files we will keep here. It can be a text file, it can be properties file, it can be YML, any configuration file required for the project. We are going to keep in the resources folder. JUnit classes for unit testing. If you want to develop unit testing, JUnits are required. Those JUnits we are going to keep in the test Java folder. Test resources, JUnit related config files. Any configuration required for the unit testing, we will keep in the test resources. What is the target? .class files. .class files will be stored here. .class files will be stored here. Now download dependencies. What are the dependencies we are adding? Those jars will be displayed in the Maven dependencies. What is pom.xml? Maven config file. So whatever the dependencies that are required for the project, those dependencies we are going to specify in the pom.xml. Where we can find out Maven dependencies, guys? We can search for Maven dependencies. We can search for Maven dependencies using mvnrepository.com. mvnrepository.com. Okay. There you can find out the dependency with the version number. You take the dependency, add in the pom.xml. Maven is going to download the dependency, will add the dependency to your project build path. Got my point? Good. So now I'm removing my dependencies from the pom.xml. Okay. So now you tell me how to add the dependency. Do you know how to add the dependency? Can I delete the project and create once again? Yes, delete it. Delete from the disk. Okay, project is deleted. Now, can you help me to create a Maven project and add the Spring dependency? Yeah, what is the first step? File, then new, then Maven project. Here, what is this? create a simple project. Why we need to select this? Standalone. If I want to create a web application, don't select this. Okay. Create a simple project. Click on next. What is the group ID? Company name. From which company we are developing? Ashok IT. What is artifact ID? Project name. So here this is my third project. So in the Spring it is first application. So 03 Spring IOC application. What is the packaging type? jar. What is the meaning of jar? This project will be delivered to the client in the form of jar file. What is the next step? Finish. Now you see the Maven project got created. Folder structure is available where we need to configure the dependencies. Come on. Pom.xml. So inside the pom.xml, what is the root tag? Project. So inside the project, one dependency we will configure or more than one dependency in the project? In a project, only one dependency or more than one dependency? More than one dependency. That's why first we need to write a tag called dependencies. First we need to write a tag called dependencies. Inside the dependencies, you can configure multiple dependencies. Where we can find out the dependency? MVN repository. Okay, go to mvnrepository.com. So this is my MVN repository. I want Spring context. How can we do that? Search for Spring context. Search. Now it is giving the Spring context. Click on the context. Which version of the context you want? What is the latest version? 6.0.13. October 12, 2023. On this date, this version got released. Okay. Go to this version. Then here, dependency available. If it is a Maven project, then you take the Maven dependency. Okay. If it is a Gradle project, you take the Gradle dependency. Currently, we are using which tool? Maven. So take the Maven dependency. If you click on this box, that will be copied. Now, go to pom.xml. Add the dependency. So when I add the dependency, what is the group ID? Spring framework. What is the artifact ID? Spring context. What is the version? 6.0.13. Now go to project, check the dependencies. Are we able to download the jars? Yes. So am I downloading the jars or Maven downloading the jars? Am I downloading the jars or Maven downloading the jars? Maven is downloading the jar files. So from now onwards, any jar file that is required for the application, you no need to download. Maven is going to download that jar file. Okay, good. Yeah, fine. So with this, my Maven project is ready. My Maven dependency is also ready. Then we need to start creating our application. We need to develop our classes. Now look at IOC architecture. Look at the IOC architecture. What is IOC? Come on. What is IOC? I want the definition. What is IOC, guys? What is IOC? What is IOC? Fast. IOC. You forgot, huh? You forgot the definition of IOC? If you don't understand IOC, you can't understand the Spring. You can't understand the SpringBoot also. IOC is very, 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 very important topic in the Spring framework. Without IOC, there is no Spring. Without IOC, there is no Spring. Clear with my point? Yes, tell me. What is IOC? IOC is a principle which is used to manage and collaborate dependencies among the application. Clear? All of you able to follow whatever I am discussing? Am I going speed? Is it okay? Please confirm. If you feel that is speed, I will repeat once again. No problem. So because the first 1 week to 10 days classes are very, 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 very important, because these are fundamental concepts. Without having full clarity on the fundamentals, you can't understand advanced topics in the Spring. Okay. Still, we did not enter into the Spring. Are we using anything in the Spring now? No. Just we are understanding the fundamental theoretical concepts. So we need to develop our first project by using Spring. Got it? Yes. Online students, are you able to follow me? Little bit speed, huh? Yeah, Ganesh is asked a very good question. Hello, sir. Why we need to install Maven separately? Already it is there in the Eclipse. So the reason for installing Maven separately is sometimes people will try to execute Maven goals from the command prompt. If you want to create Maven project from the command prompt, or if you want to execute Maven goals from the command prompt, we need to set up Maven separately. If you don't want to use Maven from the command prompt, then in the Eclipse, it will be available already. Okay. So when I take the workshop on the Maven, then I will clarify this. Why I have done Maven setup in my system before creating a project in the IDE. Got it. So today we just understood only 1% of the Maven. That's it. Because the class is not related to Maven. The class is related to Spring, but to create the Spring project, I'm using Maven. Just the basic information I have given related to Maven. Got it? Good. People are feeling little speed. Online students. Yeah, IntelliJ IDE also we are going to use in the upcoming classes. Okay. So I will tell you how to set up IntelliJ IDE in our system and how to work with IntelliJ IDE also. Good. IOC and Spring container both are same. Yes, Ganesh. IOC nothing but a container. We are calling IOC container. IOC is a Spring container. Yes, your question is, the answer is yes for your question, Ganesh. Yep. Good. So online students able to follow. While teaching IDE, please teach some shortcuts also. I have given shortcut video already, right? So I think I have explained 20 shortcuts in the Eclipse IDE. So when I am writing the code by using IDE, I will use some shortcuts, right? So the shortcut video also I have shared in the YouTube channel. I will share in our WhatsApp group also. Today, after the class completed, I will share the video for IDE shortcuts also. Or else you can search for that. Everything, whatever you need, it is available in our channel. Eclipse shortcuts, Ashok IT. Top 20 Eclipse shortcut keys for the Java programmer. 2 years back, I have uploaded that video. So those, if you use those shortcuts, then you can develop your code very quickly. That means you can do more work in the less time when you use these shortcut keys in the Eclipse IDE. Got it? So this is the video link. All of you subscribe to our channel. When I upload new video, you will get a notification, guys. Otherwise, you will miss some videos. So there are a lot of videos are available in our channel which are very useful for you. So this is SpringBoot logs monitoring. Very, 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 very important topic for experienced people. That video I have uploaded here. How to do the batch processing by using SpringBoot. That Spring batch module I have explained here. Okay. And then if you see Gradle video I have uploaded here. How to set up MySQL DB, we already know that. For DevOps, I have given some videos. Then if you see AWS Cloud tutorial, I have given microservices videos. AWS Data JPA, how to develop Data JPA application by using Spring Data JPA with MySQL database. Within 10 minutes, you can develop that project, that video. How to handle exceptions in the Spring Boot video is there. How to work with AWS Cloud. AWS Cloud tutorial is available. Anybody working professional who want to learn the Spring Boot in 3 hours, that video is also available. So there are so many crash courses are there. Spring Core Java interview questions, Spring Boot interview questions, DevOps interview questions, Java mock interviews, JUnit, 100 questions on the Spring Boot, Java 8 interview questions are available. Object log, class log, Java technical interview, mock interview I have taken. For this part, is previous full stack batch student, he got the job. He has given a mock interview in our institute. So like this, we will take the mock interviews also if you are interested. Got it? Fine. Good. So you can subscribe to our channel so that you will get notification whenever I post a video in our channel. Okay, good. Yeah, online students, this is our channel, subscribe. Fine, good. So we understood what is Maven, how to create a Maven project, and how to add Maven dependencies. Now we need to develop our project, we need to develop our classes, and we need to give those classes to IOC container so that IOC container will manage dependencies among the objects. IOC container will manage dependencies among the objects. Now, so here, when you want to manage your classes by using IOC container, what IOC container is it telling? Can I give any classes to IOC to manage? No. What I need to do now? We need to develop the classes by following the rules given by strategy design pattern. You develop your classes by following strategy design pattern. Then you give your classes to IOC container. Then IOC container will manage dependencies among your objects. So you develop the classes by using strategy design pattern. Then you give your classes as the input for the IOC, then IOC container will take care of dependency injection. IOC container will take care of dependency injection. Fine. So let me create my classes first. Okay. Where we will create our classes, guys? Main Java folder. Our source code we will develop in the main Java folder. New class. Let me take one iEngine. I'm taking one interface, guys, in.ashokid.beans. Okay. First I'm creating iEngine. Same application we are developing, but this time dependency injection will be taken care by IOC container. Inside this, I'm writing one method, either boolean, public boolean start, public boolean start, true or false value. Okay, sorry. Yeah, it is a interface, guys. Inside the interface, I'm creating one abstract method. Perfect. Once the interface is available, you can provide implementation classes for that. So let me take Diesel Engine. Okay. So Diesel Engine is a class which is implementing engine interface. Diesel Engine is a class which is implementing engine interface start method. So let us write one SOP statement just for understanding. Diesel engine starting. Good. Return true. True means it started successfully. Similarly, let us create one more class that is called petrol engine. Petrol engine. Interface iEngine. So this is implementing iEngine interface. System.out.println return true. So if you go to our diagram, then you will understand. Yes, this is our diagram. I need to develop my classes like this. I need to follow strategy design pattern in order to develop my classes. I created one interface. This is iEngine. The interface I created is a iEngine. For in that interface, there is a start method. What is the return type I have taken? Boolean return type I have taken. For this interface, we have implementation classes, diesel engine and petrol engine. Dependent classes are ready. Then we need to create a target class. So let us create car class. New class called car. Now car wants to talk to engine through interface. Okay, let me take private iEngine eng. Interface is available. Then let us write the method public void drive method. Inside the drive method, I will call engine.start method. What is the return type? Boolean status. Okay, if status is true, that means engine started. System.out.println, we can say journey started. Yes, else engine fault. something. System.out.println engine fault. Good. Now, so we are able to create our target classes. We are able to create our dependent classes, and we are able to create our target class. Now, we need to inject dependent object into target object. How many ways we can inject dependent object into target object? 3 ways are there. One is by using constructor, second one is by using setter, third one is by using field injection. Shall we go for setter injection now? Come on. To perform setter injection, what is required? To perform setter injection, what is required? Public void set eng, iEngine eng. So I'm expecting engine object as a parameter. This dot eng is equal to eng. So what is the purpose of this setter method? What is the purpose of this setter method? Come on, guys. What this setter method is doing? It is taking iEngine implementation object as a parameter. It is initializing the current class variable. Can I say it is used for dependency injection? Can I say it is used for dependency injection? What type of dependency injection we can perform with this setter method? We can perform setter injection by using this setter method. Okay, who is responsible to do that? Programmer is responsible for the dependency injection. IOC is responsible for the dependency injection. IOC is responsible for the dependency injection. How IOC will know which is the target, which is the dependent, what type of dependency injection it should perform? Come on. My classes are ready. My dependent classes are ready. My target classes are ready. But who is responsible for the dependency injection? IOC container is responsible for dependency injection. How that IOC will understand which is a target, which is a dependent, what type of dependency injection it should perform? Configuration. How many ways we can do that configuration? Configuration we can do in 2 ways. What are those 2 ways? One is XML, second one is annotation. We will go with the XML first. We will go with the, it is outdated. So only 2 to 3 examples we will do with the XML. The remaining 3 months of course, we are going to learn with the annotations only. Just for understanding purpose, guys. Okay, good. Now, I want to create a XML for the configuration. Where to create the XML? XML is for configuration, right? Where to create that configuration file in the Maven project? In the resources. Where we will create that? In the resources. Now, new file, other XML. Okay. I want to create one XML file. I want to create one XML file. File name can be anything. You can give any name for the file. I'm giving the file name as spring-beans.xml. You can give any name for the file. I'm giving the name as springbeans.xml. Click on next, click on next, click on finish. Okay. So with this, I'm able to create one XML. But anything available in the XML? No. In this XML, some namespaces are required. We need to configure some namespaces in the XML. Let's go here. Let's go to Google Spring Bean configuration XML file. What is the syntax we need to follow to work with the Spring Beans configuration file? How to configure our classes in the configuration file? We don't know the syntax. Let's take the help of Google Spring Bean configuration XML file. What is this? Come on, guys. What is this? XML schema based configuration from which website? Official Spring website. Official Spring website. Okay. If you want to work with the Spring Beans configuration, this is the syntax you need to follow. This is the syntax you need to follow. Are you clear? So now let me show you once again. Come back. Now I created one simple XML file, but I need to follow some syntaxes to write the XML. Where we can find the syntax of the bean configuration file? Official website of the Spring. Let's type Spring Bean configuration XML file. First link we are getting from the docs.spring.io. Spring official documentation is available. Go to that. Now here you can find out XML schema based configuration. So this is the syntax we need to do. XML schema style, take this syntax, not the first one guys, go for the second one. Copy this. Okay, keep it here. So this is the schema based configuration that we are writing. This is the schema based configuration we are writing. Why it is failing? Downloading the resources disabled. Downloading external resources disabled in the IDE. Let me check it. Window preferences, Maven, tick the option, download artifact Java doc. Okay. Maven, window preferences, Maven. Is it archetype? Download artifact Java doc. Where is that setting? Download artifact, apply and close. Okay. So now that problem got resolved. So earlier there is a problem in the pom.xml file. It is not allowing to download the resources. If you get that problem, this is the solution. Okay. Go to your IDE window, preference, Maven, tick the option, download artifact, Java doc. Okay, good. With this, we are able to configure the syntax for beans.xml. What is this here? Bean definitions here. Now, what are your target classes? What are your dependent classes? You need to configure here. What are your target classes? What are your dependent classes? You need to configure. Now, I have a class bean id is equal to diesel engine. Okay. What is the class available for that? Diesel engine class in dot ashok id dot beans dot diesel engine. So this is a bean definition. So if you want your Java classes to be managed by IOC container, you need to configure your class like this. Okay. Now, similarly, I want to manage petrol engine, beans.petrol engine. We are going to configure our classes in the beans.xml like this. And I have another class also, which is called car. Okay, so these are called as bean definitions, guys. So that means in our project, what are the classes available? Those classes should be managed by IOC container. Which classes should be managed by IOC container? Those classes we are going to configure as beans. Okay, bean tag, ID and class. Which class you want to manage by IOC container? Those classes information we are configuring in the beans.xml. So with this, if you see our diagram, we are good with Java classes and we are good with the configuration. How we are configuring a class in the configuration file as a bean ID and class. That means which class you want to manage by IOC container, we are going to configure that as a bean definition. So in our project, how many classes are available? There are 3 classes are available. So I have configured 3 bean definitions. Right. Now, what is the next step? Classes are ready. Configuration is ready. What is the next step? Create the container. We need to start the IOC container. How to start the IOC container? Who provided IOC container? Who provided IOC container? Spring Framework. So let me create one test class inside the test package. Okay. So this is my test class. Go to this test class. Go to this test class. Create a main method. Now I need to start my IOC container. For that IOC container, I need to give my configuration file as an input. Okay. So how to create that IOC container? What is the line of code I'm writing, guys? Application context is equal to new class path XML application context. So class path XML application context is a class available in the Spring Framework, which will start the IOC container. Okay. Now I want to start the IOC container. Who provided IOC container? Spring Framework provided IOC container. How to start that IOC container? By using class path XML application context. Okay. Now for this file, for this class, I need to pass my config file as an input. What is our config file? What is our config file? Spring-beans.xml. What is the configuration file, guys? Spring-beans.xml. Can we check this? Are we able to start the IOC container? Is it able to load the file or not? Can we check that? Yes. Right click, run as Java application. Oh, it got failed. Failed. Now see here. Why it is failed? Bean name PE is already used in the duplicate ID. So here, what is the ID I have given? Petrol engine. What is the ID? Two beans cannot have the same ID. Every bean should have a unique ID. Petrol engine having PE, diesel engine is having DE, car is having ID as a car. Whenever you are configuring your beans, in the bean configuration file, every bean should have a unique ID. Every bean should have a unique ID. Now go to test class, run as Java application. Now my application started. Am I getting any output? Nothing. Just I have started IOC container. Now I will make a small change here. In every class, I will write a constructor. In every class, I will write a constructor. What is the meaning of constructor? Constructor. Diesel engine constructor. Okay. So if this constructor is executed, what is the meaning of that? Object got created. Now go to petrol engine. Oh, yeah. Now go to car class. Write a constructor for the car also. Just I want to show you what is happening in the application now. Okay. So I have three classes in my project. All these three classes I configured as a Spring Beans in the bean configuration file. That bean configuration file I'm giving as an input for my IOC container. So now last time, can you tell me definition of IOC? IOC is a principle which is responsible to manage and collaborate dependencies among the objects. IOC will create the object for the classes. IOC will manage our objects. IOC will perform dependency injection. Now, in our project, what I'm doing, I have developed Java classes. These Java classes I configured in the configuration file. That configuration file I'm giving as an input for the IOC container. So IOC container will read the configuration file. IOC container will understand what are the beans available, which classes IOC should manage. We are configuring in the bean configuration file. Now I'm starting IOC container. Okay, so forget about this logic. We will understand tomorrow. Okay, so just I'm starting my IOC container. For the IOC container, I'm giving my beans.xml. Right click, run as Java application. What happened? What happened, guys? Object got created. Am I creating the object now? Who is creating the object now? IOC container creating the object now. So first step we understood. IOC is a principle which will manage the objects. That means what are the classes are available in our project. For those classes, what are the classes available in the project? For those classes, object created by IOC container. When IOC creating the object for that, when IOC creating the object for that, whenever we start the IOC container, then immediately it is creating the object for that. Tomorrow we will understand what is happening internally when the IOC container started. Today, any dependency injection configured? Is it performing the dependency injection now? No. Dependency injection is not performed as of now because I have not given the configuration for that. I just configured my classes as a Spring Beans. I just configured my classes as Spring Beans and I have started my IOC container by giving the configuration file as an input. So IOC container started and it is creating the object for the three classes because those three classes I configured as a Spring Beans. Suppose if I remove petrol engine, I configured only diesel engine, I configured only car. In my project, there are three classes available, but I want IOC to manage only two classes. Then only these two beans we are going to configure. Run this, test class, run as Java application. What happened now? That means, so can I say IOC is working based on the configuration file? So earlier it created three objects. Now it is creating only two objects. Why it is creating only two objects now? Why it is creating only two objects now? It is creating only two configuration files. It is creating only, it is having only two beans here. That's why only two bean objects it created. Okay. So tomorrow we will understand how IOC working internally and how to perform dependency injection by using IOC container and how to get the object from the IOC, how to call the methods. Tomorrow we are going to learn that part. So what is your task for today? You should be able to set up the Maven, create a project, add the Spring dependency, then develop the classes, whatever I have done. So you should be able to start the IOC container like this, and you should be able to see IOC container creating your bean objects or not. Tomorrow we will understand dependency injection with the IOC container. Are you clear with my point? Yes. Any questions, anyone? Any doubts? No doubts? Okay, good. Thank you. We'll continue tomorrow. Online students, any questions? Yeah, online people, anybody having any questions, you can ask me. Online students, you can unmute and you can ask me your questions.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, 1 minute, guys. Before going to take code, if you guys want, I can share that, guys. But first, try to implement the code on your own, because if I give my code right, then you will just copy paste it. First, you try the code on your own. If you get some problem, then I will share my code for the reference. Directly, if I give the code, you don't get the chance to think on your own. You will not improve your programming skills. So first, try to develop this program on your own. If you are not able to, then you can refer my code. Okay, I will talk after the class. I will talk after the class. Yeah. Anyone else having any other questions?
Yeah, yes, sir. Actually, yeah, we have created application context, right?
Correct.
IOC.
Correct.
Yeah, but without calling, the methods are executing. How, sir? Like, actually, we call it with that reference, like get
No, sir.
bean
Here,
method. We use.
no. That is what internals of IOC. Tomorrow I will explain you. Today I have just configured the classes as a beans. Na IOC container will load those beans and will execute that. Will create the object. Methods we are not calling. Got my point?
Okay.
So tomorrow you will get full clarity how it is working internally.
Sir, what is Spring Bean, sir?
The class. So now whatever the class you configured in the bean configuration file, right? That class is called as a Spring Bean. Spring Bean, nothing but the Java class which is managed by IOC container is called as a Spring Bean.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
Any Java class which you mentioned in the bean configuration file, that is called as a Spring Bean. So the class which you mentioned in the bean configuration file, IOC container will manage that class. The life cycle of that class will be managed by IOC. That's why it is called as a Spring Bean. Got it? Yeah. Anyone else having any other question?
Where we are using field injection in the project, sir?
Sir, we will discuss that, sir. In the coming class, I will explain you field injection, setter injection, constructor injection. So when I go for annotations, I will explain how to use field injection.
Thank you, sir.
So what about target and dependent class?
So target and dependent, when you are developing a project as a programmer, you need to understand which is target, which is dependent, right? IOC will not know what is target, what is dependent. You need to configure that information in the configuration file. Tomorrow we are going to do that. Today I have not defined what is target, what is dependent. Just I configured my classes as beans. So IOC container creating the objects. Dependency injection not happening because we have not done that configuration in the configuration file.
Good morning, Ashok.
Yeah, very good morning.
Are we covering microservices here, Ashok?
Yeah, so that is the main part in the course. Spring Boot with microservices. Anybody who don't have the course content and want to get the previous class videos, so please join in this WhatsApp group I have given in the chat box. In that group, I will share all the backup videos, class notes, and course content document also today.
All right. Sir, thank you so much. Session was absolutely amazing. And sir, I wanted to ask you, like, if there is any exercise which we can do every day to
Definitely, I will. So
to
whatever the
improve.
programs I'm developing, I want you people to try those programs on your own. Once these fundamental topics are completed, then daily wise, I will give the tasks also.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
So guys, please join in that WhatsApp group. I have given the link in the chat box so that you will get the updates for all the classes. Okay. Thank you guys. So with this, I'm stopping for today. We'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you. Have a great day.